Let's count down 15 obscure country bands from 1973 that should have been famous. These weren't just songs, they were dusty hymns from a year lost to the highway. And the final track, it was banned in 2 southern states and still lit up juke joints.
You know, gospel music has always been a very important part of this music down through the years since its conception and all down across.
Clouds so sweet, rain won't lift, it won't close.
Drinking teardrops on the rocks with the whiskey chasing.
Number 15, Ride That Midnight Train by the Johnson Mountain Boys.
You know, gospel music has always been a very important part of this music down through the years since its conception and all down across.
You already know that sound, the high lonesome harmony, the old-time banjo, like a ticking clock. Ride That Midnight Train wasn't just a bluegrass burner, it was a longing, moving lament, built for southern backroads and broken hearts. The Johnson Mountain Boys delivered it with a conviction that could peel paint off an old church wall, and even though they were steeped in traditional tones, this track hinted at something edgier, something waiting behind the hills. Radio stations missed it. History almost did too. But what comes next? A Cajun waltz, whispered from the marshes of Louisiana. Number 14, Bayou Memories by the Cypress Creek Ramblers.
Get off there, Brian. You ready, Kitty Mac?
Yes, sir.
1, 2, 3.
If you've ever smelled Spanish moss in the air or heard cicadas buzz through a humid dusk, this one will haunt you. Bayou Memories melted swamp soul with country storytelling, a quiet ache of fiddle, accordion, and a vocal that cracked like weathered porch wood. The Cypress Creek Ramblers only pressed a handful of records, sold mostly at roadside gas stations, but the song had that eerie permanence, like it was always playing just beneath the waterline.
Clouds so sweet, rain won't lift, it won't close.
Next, a dreamscape ballad with smoke ring harmonies and a skyline made of steel. Number 13, Driftwood Dreams by the Smoky Hollow Revival.
I'm crawling out the no.
Picture the soft shimmer of twilight through a pickup truck window. That's where Driftwood Dreams lives. The Smoky Hollow Revival wasn't aiming for stardom. They just wanted the song to feel like a letter never mailed. Gentle slide guitar, echoing pedal steel, and lyrics painted with regret. It was country for the ones who couldn't go back. It found late-night spins on college radio and inspired a generation of misfits and dreamers. But next, we bring it back to the soft glow of a love song, written like a poem, and I'll write you a poem if you hit the subscribe button right now. Number 12, Tumbleweed Serenade by the Western Rails. This wasn't a song, it was a slow-motion train through a golden desert. Tumbleweed Serenade caught the fleeting romance of nowhere towns and the spaces between lovers. The Western Rails stitched together harmonies like old denim, worn, soft, and undeniably strong. Their fiddles swayed like prairie grass, and the melody drifted like dust under a red sun. It was almost cinematic, a song that should have scored 100 lonely westerns, but instead got buried under disco and outlaw anthems. Coming up, a band that played so fast you'd swear their strings were on fire. Number 11, Lonesome County Line by the Pine Ridge Pickers. There's a specific kind of heartbreak reserved for long highways at midnight, and Lonesome County Line knew it intimately. The Pine Ridge Pickers packed this track with high-speed banjo, yelping harmonies, and a fiddle that cried like a siren fading in fog. It was Appalachian fire meeting southern grit. The band's live sets were pure wildfire, but the record never hit airwaves. Beyond Kentucky and Tennessee, a shame, because this was road trip music for the restless soul.
Making friends.
Next, settle up for a tune with more dust than daylight and more bite than bourbon. Number 10, Dust on the Saddle by the Prairie Sons. If country music had a sepia tone, this track would be its portrait. Dust on the Saddle was raw, rasp, and resolute, the kind of song you could only write after losing too much and loving too hard. The Prairie Sons played it like a confession between old friends on a cattle drive. The rhythm thumped like hooves, and the lyrics hit like they were carved into bark. It was a slow burn anthem that captured the myth of the American cowboy, only it never got the airtime to mythologize it. Next up, a haunting ode to whiskey, regret, and moonlight madness. Number 9, Whiskey Moon Rising by the Red River Troubadours. If you've ever stared into a glass of bourbon and seen your past staring back, this song's for you. Whiskey Moon Rising sounded like it was recorded at the edge of a breakdown, with vocals soaked in late-night sorrow and a slide guitar that wept more than it wailed. The Red River Troubadours never cracked the charts, but they carved a cult following in dimly lit bars from Oklahoma to Arkansas. This track was pure outlaw vulnerability, the kind of song you whisper to the bottle before the sun comes up. But up next, a waltz so delicate it feels like it might vanish if you breathe too loud. Number 8, Cold Creek Waltz by the Hollow Valley Band. This one doesn't just play, it drifts. Cold Creek Waltz was a ghost in 3/4 time. The Hollow Valley Band painted it with acoustic brushstrokes and a falsetto so fragile it nearly shouted with every chorus. You could hear the frost in the melody, the ache in every word. It was the soundtrack to a love long gone, danced out beneath a tin roof and a cold moon. Never charted, never played on big stations, but once you've heard it, it never quite leaves you. What's next? A roadside ramble with enough swagger to kick the jukebox back to life. Number 7, Backroads and Barstools by the Cooper Ridge Ramblers. Backroads and Barstools didn't ask for permission. It kicked the doors down and told its own truth. The Cooper Ridge Ramblers had a bar band bravado with lyrics soaked in beer, heartbreak, and rural defiance. This song was pure muscle, a galloping guitar riff, thundering drums, and a chorus that dared you not to sing along. It should have been a hit, but instead it stayed hidden in truck stops and small-town roadhouses. For some fans, that only made it feel more real. Next, a tender ballad written by a family band that never made it past their front porch, but should have. Number 6, Mason Jar Memories by the Hill Country Kin.
Drinking teardrops on the rocks with the whiskey chasing.
This wasn't just a family band, it was a generational echo wrapped in strings and harmony. Mason Jar Memories was recorded on reel-to-reel in a Texas farmhouse, and you could hear every floorboard creak, every heartstring pull. The Hill Country Kin blended bloodline-tight vocals with lyrics about childhood, harvest, and time slipping through your fingers like cornmeal. No label, no tour, just one album passed hand to hand like a sacred heirloom. This track deserved front porch fame and stadium lights. Coming up, a band whose name rusted with time, but their strings pure lightning. Number 5, Faded Denim and Steel Strings by the Rustwood Union.
Dankeschön. Dankeschön.
Everything about Faded Denim and Steel Strings felt lived in. The worn Levi's, the cigarette burn in the couch, the echo of love that once was. The Rustwood Union delivered it with slow-burning fire, harmonies that simmered, and a rhythm that walked instead of ran. It sounded like what the 70s felt like when the crowd went home and the amps cooled down. This was Southern Americana with a poet's touch, and still it never cracked through the mainstream fog. But coming up next, a track born from a barn revival and raised on dust and gospel. Number 4, Harvest Wind by the Blue Barn Revival.
He said, you need something to relax yourself.
If you've ever stood in an empty field in October with the wind howling around your boots, Harvest Wind knows you. The Blue Barn Revival mixed country roots with Appalachian gospel, creating a sound that felt like Sunday service had collided with a tractor pull. The vocals were righteous, the fiddle fierce, and the lyrics danced between sacred and scared. It never hit radio, too raw, too real, but it rattled the soul of every barn dance from Missouri to West Virginia. Next up, a cold country lament with smoke in its lungs and freight in its blood. Number 3, Coal Smoke Blues by the Shenandoah Freight Company. This one rumbles like a midnight freight train through the Appalachians. Cold Smoke Blues carried the weight of working-class sorrow, a miner's anthem with bluesy grit and country bones. The Shenandoah Freight Company layered harmonica, dobro, and weathered vocals that cracked like old timber. You could feel the soot in your lungs. It should have made headlines for its lyrical honesty alone, but it stayed buried in regional pressings and late-night bar sets. Still, it's a time capsule from a land of labor, loss, and unshakable pride. Coming next, a love song as soft as southern rain and just as unforgettable. Number 2, Sweet Magnolia Rain by the Dixie Lanterns. You can practically smell the honeysuckle when this one plays. Sweet Magnolia Rain was the sound of heartbreak in springtime, bittersweet, slow dancing, and soaked in southern charm. The Dixie Lanterns, a trio of siblings from Georgia, wove harmonies like lace and delivered every lyric with aching grace. Their label folded before the track could chart, but for those lucky enough to catch on a college station or local AM dial, it stayed with them for decades. And now, the number 1 spot, a song too honest, too raw, and too real for 1973, and 2 southern states banned it. Number 1, No Stars in Dallas by the Lonestar Choir. This was more than a song. It was a whispered rebellion. No Stars in Dallas told the story of a drifter, a waitress, and a love that couldn't survive under neon lights. The Lonestar chorus built it like a slow confession. Minor chords, steel guitar moans, and a chorus that hurt more every time it came back around. 2 southern states banned it for its themes of interracial love and economic despair, calling it too political. But listeners, they just heard the truth, and when the final note fades, it lingers like smoke. If you found this deep dive memorable, hit like and subscribe so we can keep the music alive. These weren't just tracks, they were sonic postcards from 1973, faded at the edges and scrawled with soul. Which of these songs hit you the hardest or surprised you the most? Next up, we're diving into 1974, where the ghost of glam and folk clashed on every stage. You won't believe what made the list. Click the video on screen now to keep this journey going. Some legends fade, others hide in plain sight.